Hello, everyone. Hi, I'm aLex. I hope my sound quality is good. Last week's recording was so for some reason. Great to be here as always, weekly 10 a.m. Eastern Time for micro movement and meditation, about a half hour. And we're here through Sun and Moon Yoga Studio, this awesome community. What's the weather like where you are right now? I'm in a room that needs a space heater. You might even hear that in the background. It's cold outside. It's a wintry day, but beautiful, beautiful sunny day. So for this time, you'll need to be able to be comfortably seated or laying down. So have what you need. I've got a cushion behind me, or a folded blanket actually, and I've got a cushion that I'll use for my knee once we're in meditation posture seated. Always attend to what you need and set it up, set your position up, support it with what you need. So our time will consist of me talking a little bit about the theme that supports us and tethers us, sort of help us get through that gate into the quiet things. I don't know if you experience this, but for many of us, like just slowing down is sometimes a challenge, and certainly to sit very still and quiet is often a challenge. So we need something to help us, and that can be our mantra, or the same place in our house, our home each day. It can be a few words, and I use the words ground, sound, and breath very often. Mary Beth joined. Thanks for being here. And by the way, those of you watching later, not during recording time, I so welcome you all. And you're being there, you're watching, you're doing this with me, even if it's later, is so sustains me, really gives me something. So where was I? The things we need. So the time is broken up in my talking about our theme. A little movement that you don't need much space for. We'll probably even do it from the sitting position, and then we'll sit quiet, still. I'll be talking a little bit, but you can choose silence and stillness. So I'm going to start by reading someone else's words. And I invite you to just sit comfortably like you're listening to a story. My theme and the title that I put, that I might change, but have you ever been told, like you're struggling with something, you're repeating your story, your problem to a friend or a relative, and they say, "Oh, just let it go." Don't you feel like at that point you want to sock them in the nose? It's not so easy to just let it go when something has us hooked. And there's usually an emotional component. There's identity, is something reflecting on our personality, perhaps on our person, the way we perceive ourselves. It can have something to do with our work and responsibility to others. So there's a heft that's there. So our quiet practices of going inward, of self-reflection, of becoming more and more conscious of who we are and of the ever-presence of boundless awareness, wide open, boundless awareness, help us toward that letting go. And there are a couple of things that are needed. We need to know that we're safe. We need to feel supported. And that is because we need that, because what we need to see more clearly, and that's the second thing, we need to feel supported, and we need to see whatever is our baggage, our hook, that thing that's got us more clearly, is that we're seeing it in a way, or experiencing it in a way, that for some reason saved us. For some reason, it was absolutely necessary at some point in our lives, likely at a very early point in our lives. So I'll tell you who, you'll probably guess who this is as I'm reading it. This little short essay is entitled Forgiveness, which is often said to be letting go. It's kind of more than that, I think, but that's a part of it. Forgiveness is a heartache. Oh, and by the way, as you listen, just be really relaxed and receptive. Imagine you're listening to these, it's prose, but their words are sort of poetic, with every part of you, your cells, your sense of smell, your sense of seeing, as well as hearing. Forgiveness is a heartache and difficult to achieve because, strangely, it not only refuses to eliminate the original wound, but actually draws us closer to its source. It not only refuses to eliminate the original wound, but it actually draws us closer to its source. To approach forgiveness is to close in on the nature of hurt itself, the only remedy being, as we approach its raw center, to reimagine our relation to it. It may be that part of us was struck and hurt, that the part of us that was struck and hurt can never forgive, and that strangely, forgiveness never arises from the part of us that was actually wounded. The wounded self may be the part of us incapable of forgetting, and perhaps not actually meant to forget, as if, like the foundational dynamics of physiological immune system, our psychological defenses must remember and organize against any future attacks. After all, the identity of the one who must forgive is actually founded on the very fact of having been wounded. Stranger still is it is that wounded, branded, unforgetting part of us that eventually makes forgiveness an act of compassion rather than one of simple forgetting. To forgive is to assume a larger identity than the person who was first hurt. To mature and bring to fruition an identity that can put its arm not only around the afflicted one within, but also around the memories seared within us by the original blow. And through a kind of psychological virtuosity, extend our understanding to one who first delivered it. Forgiveness is a skill, a way of preserving clarity, sanity, and generosity in an individual life. A beautiful way of shaping the mind to a future we want for ourselves. An admittance that if forgiveness comes through understanding, and if understanding is just a matter of time and application, then we might as well begin forgiving right at the beginning of any drama, rather than put ourselves through the full cycle of festering incapacitation, reluctant healing, and eventually blessing. To forgive is to put oneself in a larger gravitational field of experience than the one that first seemed to hurt us. We reimagine ourselves in the light of our maturity, and we reimagine the past in the light of our new identity. We allow ourselves to be gifted by a story larger than the story that first hurt us and left us bereft. At the end of life, the wish to be forgiven is ultimately the chief desire of almost every human being. In refusing to wait, in extending forgiveness to others, now we begin the long journey of becoming the person who will be large enough, able enough, and generous enough to receive at the very end that absolution ourselves. That's David Whyte. You might have recognized the tone. So to touch into a hurt is a kind of skill, skill's not the right word, a kind of openness and willingness. He says we're reluctant at first to healing. He says reluctant healing because it hurts to look at that thing that hurts. It hurts to let it into our sphere. So for that reason, we need the sense of safety. So these next practices of a little bit of movement, of really sensing our presence here in our safe space, that we can be so grateful for, and knowing in contrast there are many of our fellow humans who are not in that, do not have that at this moment. And also then to see more clearly, the micro movement helps us to feel tiniest things to in a safe way, parse apart and see more clearly. So I'm going to sit cross-legged for this first part. You could be on your back. You could be actually probably in any position, standing, any position at all. I'm going to bring our attention to our golden ball in the lower belly, but first let's arrive. So wherever you are, let's start with that ground, bringing attention to ground. And sometimes, if you've been with me for a while, I use this a lot, and sometimes we need something fresh. So maybe for you, earth, gravity, a letting go into the space you are. Maybe home. It's like being right here is your home right now, and the body can always be your home. And the very tuning our attention into the sensations, the physical sensations for me of the sides of the feet against the ground. So I narrow my attention, I focus it right there, not at the expense of staying relaxed around the edges, not at the expense of being relaxed in my forehead and eyes as I'm looking internally and externally. We know from memory this ground in your own house where you walk and sit so often, but feel it freshly now. I feel it under my pelvis, the tops of the sides of my legs, and for you, if you're laying down, you'll feel it against your back or your side. At the same time that we're feeling the ground, we can begin to also let our attention receive the breath. Those two together, can you sense the parts of you touching the ground, the skin, the sort of the weight of yourself at that, it's almost like a two-dimensional, as if like a piece of paper was there and we had some ink on our bodies and we are making a print. And now shift your attention to the ball in the lower part of the pelvis, I call the golden ball. And open up to listening. Listen for a moment there. I've listened into this golden ball and myself and to all that's coming from the space around me. As you feel that golden ball, perhaps even just with the breath, let's go super micro with the breath. Imagine the ball rolling or moving with how the breath comes down through the body and moves lung tissue, which presses against the diaphragm, and the breath itself is very much happening because of the diaphragm. And the organs below there, the digestive organs and organs that produce hormones and molecules needed for building our parts, for immunity, for skin, for bones, for blood. And then purposely begin to roll this ball, as we have so many times if you're a yoga practitioner or in even exercise classes where you do a pelvic tilt, where you just let that ball, and your ball could be glass, it could be rubber, one of those balls of rubber bands, a baseball, a tennis ball, and just let it roll back and forward the tiniest bit. I'm sensing the need to come back up to my blanket, so do as I do and shift as you need to when if you need some more accessibility support. And this whole practice of watching this movement, feeling our breath, feeling the ground, sensing the space around, and allowing this give and take is part of getting more and more of a feeling of safety and a feeling of that we can also say no to what does not feel safe. And allow this movement to become more and more smooth, pleasurable. You might be noticing it's different on the left and right sides. And now come to stop. Just stop the movement. Pause where you are. Notice what is fresh, has freshly arrived. And I'll just share some of the possible answers, but yours will be unique. There's a sense of as if the windows were opened in my torso. An airiness, maybe. So notice how I did that. I didn't just say, I just feel more space, which is fine to say that, or air, but the more specific you can become. And so when you tell yourself something like, oh, I feel more spacious. Where? So as you hear that, what would be even more accurate? And if it's something like a hurting thing, like, oh, my back, I'm moving, but my back really still hurts. Give that some of the compassionate, caring attention by just noticing it and then including it and perhaps giving it, repeating what it's saying to you. If it's saying to you, oh, I'm so achy in a sharp, chronic way. And already maybe something, we get ourselves into a larger space. Right, let's take the movement a little bit more, rolling the golden ball or that ball deep down. It's like a ball that just sits just above your pelvic floor, just not sitting right on it, but almost hovering like it's on sometimes I think there's a forced air coming up and there's something like floating above it. I don't know where I've seen that. It makes me think I've seen it in a shopping mall. And just let yourself feel the entire body and the way the body shifts, the way it presses against the ground as you roll this ball. You might even feel how this rolling is reflected in the heart ball and the jaw and throat ears, relaxing the upper palate. And just roll a few more times, breathing as you do and being conscious of the breath. And eventually, let's come to a place of stillness. Just stopping. A stillness where you can set up your position for getting very, very still. So not too much different from where you just were. If you were lying down, if you'd like to come to sitting, that's fine. Just a nice, easy transition. Settle, get the props you need to be comfortable to be still. And we'll sit together in stillness for about 8 minutes. In silence, aside from the words that will be coming from me. Just here. Perhaps there's a feeling of support and safety you feel now. For a few moments, if that's with you, really give it your care, your attention, your listening. What it feels like in your body. All the pieces are still here, ground, sound and space around, and breath. So as we're still, and you might choose to just stay with sinking into the feeling of safety, of support. It might envelop you. It might reveal its capacity to hold you. Getting very, very familiar with its presence, its ever presence here will serve us to face the hurts, the wounds. And the next part of the practice, you can always lean into that safe space, safe sensation. And so we just open up as if we're watching ourselves from above or behind. Sense the essence of ourselves, the boundless essence. At the same time as we're very much right here. And as we open like that, sometimes there will just be a sense of lightness and ease and maybe just floating those, those gifts. And sometimes something will come in, whether it's a worry, an anger, a pain. And as best you can, as best as we can welcome it into this big space of our awareness. We're giving it some caring attention at a distance or close. We find ourselves engaging with it, getting angry at it, however, and just let all that be here. And coming back again and again, if we find our mind has run away somewhere, it's not a punishable offense. It's just we notice and we come back again and again. A few more breaths together. Hear the bell. So interesting that we know clear resonance from something that's not resonant. We can take our time emerging from this very changed mind state that even a short 8-minute meditation preceded by meditative practice can bring us to. But it is a very good skill to have, this agility to move from one state to another. Because we may next be called to something quite active, or the reverse way, maybe easier to jump into activity, but not always. The reverse way of something very active and engaged, to be able to shift to back off, to make more space. So let's bow to come toward the close of our practice together. I thank you. And I'll leave you with one thought that came to me. I'll have to look up this specific words. At a meditation retreat with a teacher I really loved Sharon Landreth. She lives in Colorado, but I got to sit with her at Omega in New York. She closed one of our retreats with talking about, she used the sort of the framework of may there be, may you be peaceful, may everyone, that Buddhist loving kindness kind of meditation. May everyone be healthy. May everyone know peace of mind. May everyone know contentment. May everyone know safety. She stated it a bit differently, and it had to do, at least one of them had to do with, may everyone know their own true essence, and that. And I'll look up and I'll share maybe next week the specifics of that. So check out David Whyte's essay, Forgiveness, and just let it go. Thank you for being here. Thanks, Annie, for being here. Thanks, Mary Beth. Thanks, all of you who joined later. Maybe Linda from Hawaii. Maybe you're in New Mexico now. Virginia sometimes joins. So happy to be here with you. Rock says ciao ciao too.